You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler, this is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back with episode 121.
Episode 121. So, a little brief delay from last week.
Yeah, I had a bit of a family emergency, but it's okay now. Things are looking back to plenty of poker to be played, at least.
Yeah, we've actually been playing, even though the podcast is like, I think we've missed like a week or two in the last couple months. We've actually been playing more poker than normal.
Yeah, right. Kind of, which is kind of weird because normally it's vice versa. We're wondering, because sometimes it can be hard to fit in poker in between recording podcasts, but now all of a sudden I feel like we have tons of content and haven't been able to record.
Well, and it seems like you've got a renewed vigor. I know I played with you the other day, and poker can get draining at times or whatever. And for the first time in a while, it seemed like you were really happy to be at the table. You were really kind of energized at the table. Like you were really, I don't know, it seemed like you were feeling it lately versus others, which I think happens to all of us in the grind. I mean, that's why they literally call it a grind.
No, absolutely. But before that, we got to jump back to the Vegas trip before I'm feeling good. We got to pick up where we left off.
Oh, were you not feeling good at the end of the Vegas trip? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's when I got back.
Where we're going, Tyler's like, I was still in the dump.
Yeah. I'm like, this is a super weird segue for a bunch to hear about some coolers, but sure. But I do have. This is a hand that I found super interesting that I played in Vegas. I'm in the straddle with Ace King, and this is the 1-2 Golden Nugget game.
Okay.
A bunch of people
The
limp.
button straddle, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
A bunch of people limp. So at the Golden Nugget you get ultimate last action.
So it skips you, goes to the small blind, big blind, and then back to you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I make it 15, and then the small blind who flatted now makes it 35.
Before we go in 50, I would think for a bunch of limps, 15 seems very small.
Sorry. There's a bunch of limps, but it's a late night game, so it's shorthanded.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking probably five-handed.
Okay.
So I make it 15, and we're playing pretty deep here, about 600 effective.
Okay.
I make it 15. He raises to 35. Everyone else folds. I then re-raise to 115.
God dang, that is a gigantic I'm definitely re-raising here, 100%. That is a gigantic re-raise.
Yeah. He then re-raises to 389.
How much was in y'all stacks at this point? That's becoming very
600 effective.
So we're looking at he flat calls, you raise. I don't like this because this can seem trappy at times when someone's doing this when you're a button straddle. I think this is a time aces or kings could play this way, but five-handed ace king is too strong. I mean, you're just ripping it, right?
I actually folded.
Oh, really?
Yep. I actually folded, and I paid him $5 to show, and he had pocket aces.
Ooh, nice fold.
Yeah. So I lost 115, but I put on here save 600.
That absolutely, and I would say this: Tyler of the 3 or 4 years ago, definitely. Shit, Tyler of a year ago loses 600 here, right?
And Tyler of yesterday would have, but
I was like, I've regressed since.
Yeah, but so I raise, he re-raises, I re-raise. That's a 4-bet. Then he 5-bets me, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is a good. I mean, especially unless you've seen somebody do this with nothing at some point.
I mean, you don't see anyone do 5-bet with nothing.
Yeah, because we talked about this before, and wasn't actually on the jam. I was like, it was because Because our whole theory was, at best, your best possible scenario, it's queens. Because someone's not doing this with jacks ever.
Yeah.
So it's either aces, kings, queens, or maybe another ace king. But yeah, that was a really good heads-up fold.
So I ended up losing 200 on that session.
Which is pretty good, considering you should have lost more.
Right. So that one was nice. Like we always say, saving money in certain spots is the same as making money.
Exactly.
So, I put guy hit. I don't remember if last week if last episode, I'll briefly go over it just in case I covered it. Mm-hmm. But I was at the Golden Nugget again. I mean, I basically played all the sets at the Golden Nugget because they had just so many promotions. But at my table, so I probably did say this because I was at the first session, I saw my first royal flush. And then the next day, I saw there was another royal flush at another table. And there's not that many tables, maybe like 7.
Right.
And then I hit quads for before they even wrote down the quad. Someone hit quad aces right next to us. And then someone hit quad deuces like 5 minutes later. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, a lot of big hands being passed around.
Right. But then here was my, my notes on this are not great. I put all in preflop, queens versus ace queen. I did not win.
I'm guessing you had ace queen.
No, I had queens.
Oh, did you have queens?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's sad.
And then right after that, you just put that you're having a boring session wherever you were playing at. And then my very next hand was king versus aces. I lose, in for 1,000, out for 0. So,
and you had kings, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All these hands, coolers.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I mean, if you get queens in versus ace queen and lose, and then you get kings to aces, not going to be a great session for you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Whenever you said I seem to really be enjoying myself at the table, I was like, wow. No, I mean,
I was like, because I wasn't there anymore.
yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I thought I'd never folded ace king preflop before. I thought that was a really interesting spot.
Yeah, you've always been just like pilot end guy, which I agree. I definitely do agree, but I do think there is a time where you can either flat call or fold here and there with it. Especially when you were just crap loads of blinds, which y'all actually did have. I mean, it was a 1-2 game, so 600 something behind. I mean, you're looking at 300 big blinds.
Yeah, exactly. And like we always say, the game in Vegas plays a lot different than the game in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So, because in Texas, it's probably harder to do because people are, but really still in Texas, not many 5-bet jams that are not going to be still. I mean, like I say, you're hoping for a queens at best.
Well, I would have been the 6-bet jam. He 5-bet to 300 and whatever 90.
Oh, that's right. His 5-bet was to 390. Yours was have been 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you bring a 6-bet to the table, you really want to have aces.
Yeah. Or at least kings, so you have 20%.
Yeah. So it was. I don't know. It was pretty crazy, but overall, though, a good session. Or not good session. Good trip. Like good Golden Nugget experience. Ended up profiting quite a bit. Like I think like just under 2,000 maybe.
That's really nice. So I mean, especially in Vegas playing 1-2. I mean, for what was a week.
Yeah.
That's pretty good profit right there.
Right. Then I ended up coming right back to Texas. Had one session. Don't remember any of the hands. No, I lost 400 just because I remember looking at the tracker. I'm sure there was some sort of PLO shenanigans involved, but
that's true. It's kind of nice going to Vegas just where you don't have to do the PLO, right?
Oh, so nice.
It's I don't mind the PLO to break it up, but it's just nice having that option.
It is so weird though, like you say in the Vegas, how it's not a time game, but people just move so much faster.
That is just the weirdest thing to me, where people can take time and it would not really, I mean, it would be annoying, but it wouldn't cost you anything. Yet in Texas, everything's a goddamn tank and you're paying, $12 an hour or so.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's just so like a few episodes ago, whenever you were talking about your Vegas experience about every 3-bet was aces or kings, that also helped to that fold. And also, when you mentioned that everyone moves so much faster there, that I really kept an eye out, and I was like, man, Clint is on something about that.
Yeah, it is very, which I guess you can also attest to the games maybe sometimes not being as good because it means people like non-recreational players for profit, pros, whatever you want to call them, they don't see a lot of reason for tanking a lot of times. I mean, you kind of know what you're doing most of the time. I see mostly from recreational players, so I wonder if that could attest to the games not being quite as good. But I tell you what, sure is more enjoyable when people are moving along.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I've seen this on poker videos and training stuff. I mean, your pre-flop decision should not be much of a tank, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, obviously without like 3-bets and 4, whenever it's just, are you raising, folding, or calling?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, if there's been, and here's the other thing, is to me, it's like waiting in line at McDonald's, and you're 8 people behind, and then it takes for freaking ever to get to the register, and person 7 now starts looking at the menu.
Yeah.
If it's Hold'em and it's the hijack, it's folded around to the hijack. Why are they tank folding or tank limping? You had time to think about it all the way. Nothing changed all the way through there. So obviously, little things annoy me. That's one of them.
Yeah, but I don't know. But overall, good experience though. Can say the Golden Nugget super. I mean, recreational, profitable games, action packed. Except for the morning game. The morning game, awful. That was sad.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was like, whenever we played all the way to like 10 in the morning, I was like, this is not it. I gotta go.
Yeah, well, I think something that might fuel it a lot is Vegas is not heavy in promos. For those of you who don't play in Vegas very often, almost none of the strips have the promos like Bellagio, Aria, and all that. The casinos that do have them are more geared towards the regs. The only place you can go that's kind of close to the strip is Golden Nugget, who has a lot of promos, which I think might drive some more kind of action players there.
I mean, their promos are so ridiculous, man. I mean, constantly giving away money and a giant bad beat jackpot. That's not even that crazy to hit.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I mean, everybody who listens to podcasts knows I bitch about promos and them taking money from the game because I think a lot of promos are stupid. Golden Nuggets, I really do like.
Well, right. Well, I mean, that's kind of, we'll just randomly bring in a Houston room. That's kind of like Champions when they do that high hand of the hour every day. Is that what it is?
Is it high hand every 30 minutes?
Right, but that's like one, I like that more than a bad beat jackpot because you're just going to hit that occasionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody's hitting it for that matter, too.
Is that your big hang up? That you don't know if the payout's going to, like, for me, I think, like, thinking that, like, well, I'll hit that more often than I'm going to hit a bad beat jackpot. So I'd rather have the high hand every 30 minutes rather than it go to the bad beat. I've never been in a poker room when a bad beat jackpot's happened. I have thousands of hours played.
Yeah.
Right? So is that your big hang up, or is your big hang up thinking that maybe, that bad beat jackpot just goes in someone's pocket eventually?
I would say they're part of the same thing for me. Like, you're right. And like as in this, if I'm going to pay extra money towards, which Champions, this is how great they are. That's an ridiculous promo. And there is no money coming out. It's a time game. So that's just money coming right out of Champions. So that's to another level of an amazing promo. But the ones I am talking about would be if you're paying, like, say they're taking $1 or $2 off every hand. One is, like, just like you said, you want something that you're going to hit at least every now and then. Well, you're going to get quads eventually. You're going to get a high hand eventually. It's not going to happen very often. But you get some of that money back. So that's one, and the other one's like you said, like especially in Texas rooms where card rooms are prone to shut down and the owners disappear into oblivion. If you're taking money like for a bad beat jackpot and it's $1, $2 every hand, that's a lot of money over time. Well, let's say this card room shuts down. Well, I mean, it's not going in. I mean, I don't know. I've never known of a room just to give a crazy amount of money away when they shut down. So
they call every player back. You're owed $20.
yeah. So that's my big thing, and especially like with some of these Texas rooms who've not paid the bad beat jackpot on a technicality. I'm not going to go into if it's right or wrong on that technicality, but if the chances are you hitting a bad beat jackpot are 1 in freaking a zillion, and then there's about maybe let's say a 35% chance that if you hit it, you also still don't get paid on a technicality. Yeah, to me, it's just rooms taking money out of the pot just to put it in their purse.
Right. Well, I don't know. I still think that the bad beat jackpot should. I mean, I don't want to say there shouldn't be any technicalities for it because I guess obviously like if someone is dealt in who's not supposed to be dealt in or something. But I mean, almost treat it more of a celebration than it is like trying to weasel your way out of paying it, you know?
Oh, it's treated like a celebration by the players.
Yeah, but I mean, even for the room though, I would think hitting the bad beat jackpot, even though it resets it, would still be like, I don't want to say good publicity, but I mean, if you post on Facebook or whatever that the bad beat got hit and was paid out, I mean that's great. I mean, you all of a sudden think, well, I definitely need to go there if I know for sure that. I mean, it definitely plays a factor for me.
Well, I mean, especially like, okay, let's say like 101 Katy, and it's not a place that's my favorite place to play, but I will say they have hit the bad beat jackpot and they've paid it out, a couple times. So at least you do know that's fair at that point. The other thing is if you're a Texas room and you don't have as many tables going, as I think it needs to be easier to hit.
That's a big one, right? Because sometimes you see some that have like 2 tables, and then it's something ridiculous that, like you say, is never going to get hit.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, aces full of jacks beaten should be the standard, not like quad 3s or something that have to be beaten. So, it's...
This is obviously not for Texas rooms, but I think Golden Nuggets... Well, shoot, I don't know for sure. I thought it was any quads beat, but their bad beat jackpot was gigantic too. So,
well, their bad beat jackpot is gigantic. One is I trust casinos to pay that out more often, and there's more tables to hit it, so that it has to be more. It has to be harder to hit to make it worth it. But yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, that's was my thought on it. Like I was just thinking, like promos probably bring a lot more recreational players to Golden Nugget.
It was funny. I don't even know when this happened or if it was even in Texas, but someone was saying a bad beat jackpot story to where the bad beat jackpot got hit, but they had taken down the sign like to stop the promo the day before. Which, in fairness, I mean, if you stop the promo and the bad beat jackpot gets hit the next day, you have no obligation to pay it, right?
Oh, correct.
I mean, but I made the funny joke at the table whenever I told them what probably happened was the dealers, they started to see that the bad beat was brewing, so the floor ran up and started unscrewing the sign and putting it down.
Just ripping it off the wall. Yeah, that promo ended 45 seconds ago.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I just thought that was kind of a funny. Because someone said that they undid the sign. I was like, were they undoing it while the cards were being, while the flop happened?
Might as well have been.
But I just thought that was a funny story.
That is.
But I mean, like to his point, I mean, if they don't do if the bad beat jackpot is canceled, it ceases to matter if you hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I say, that's just. Well, I mean, we've gone on that a couple times, but those are just my thoughts on it. But like, I guess that was you. After that, you ended up back in Texas and you lost 400, but that's still pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely still a good run.
Yeah. I guess we can go into my
your stream game, right?
My stream game. So, I've got a couple hands that were kind of interesting from the stream game. One, I guess we'll go the most debatable one first. I think this one's the most interesting, just because I think I played it right, and I tell you what, I've met opposition.
Well, luckily, I don't really know any of these hands. I have an unbiased opinion, other than I'm going to be on.
Okay.
I'm going to be against you.
So a big factor is the net game is going on. It's I have King 10 offsuit. It comes around to me. I would not normally play this, but today I am because, well, the net game does change things most people do too much, but you do have to change it a little bit.
I definitely think, with all this considered, that King 10 off is playable.
Yeah, and I think it was the button. I think it was the button too. So it was even
Shoot,
more
I'm
so.
playing that without the button, without the knit game. No, go ahead.
It's raised to 15, goes around. I think there's like 4 or 5 people in the flop. The flop is Ace King 10, an above average flop for me. So pre-flop Razor leads out for a pretty decent size. I think it was like 45 or so. There is folds around to me, and I call.
Ooh, I was in a raise here.
Yeah, I know that you were one of the ones that was opposition to. So you said a raise here. The commentator said a raise here. My thought is, once I raise here, is Ace King 10 hits his range way harder than mine. He has Ace King in his range. He has Ace 10 in his range. He has Queen Jack in his range. He has pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket tens. I mean,
here's my point though: is I like the raise. If you get shipped on, you probably fold.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's why I like the raise. I mean, you kind of, the strength of his hand isn't as obvious whenever you only call. I think that's, I mean, sure, you're going to lose more my way. Like if you raise and he just ships it on you, and then God forbid you make a bad call and get felted. But
well, I think he just calls with a lot of hands that have me beat. I don't think he's shipping it with Ace 10.
Yeah, I guess, that'd probably maybe be overplaying Ace 10, really.
I mean,
but,
Queen Jack. I mean, Queen Jack seems very available in a 4-handed raised pot.
I still like the raise. I still think you can get value from pairs plus draws. So,
probably you probably can get value from raise. I mean, I was more. This is one that I was looking for. I called looking for kind of a decent card, and then I had position. I can either choose to raise or call the turn.
Here's a question: what if it's just like Deuce of Hearts and he bets again? Like, would that be a
depending
raise?
on his bet sizing? I don't know. I think it's still a call. I think when I raise and I'm trying to get called with King 10 here. I mean, and to be obvious, this is the reason you don't play King 10.
Yeah. Right.
So,
okay, wait. Continue with the story.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting off topic here. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, it's like.
So you call, and then what happens?
Yeah, it's a. I call. The turn is a jack.
Would have been funny if you were like Deuce of Hearts.
Yeah, Deuce of Hearts. We're gonna know exactly what I would have done. The turn is a jack. Obviously, this is problematic.
So let's go over the board and you're holding again, just because we got off topic.
And I'm sorry, I was definitely not a small blind or big blind because he had position on me. So but nothing nothing really changes from there because the only thing I remember is I did check to him on the turn.
So the board is Ace, King, 10, Jack. Any queen makes a straight. No flush draw. You have King 10, correct?
Right. Okay. I check. He bets pretty big, like a pot-sized bet.
I think I might just be done here, honestly. Just save my money. I mean, that's kind of my thought here.
Mine was a fold. And here's the thing: is I was like, well, I'm not going to do this on. I mean, he's not going to do this with just a random with an ace. I mean, this is just way too wet here.
Well, here's the problem: is let's say he even does this with a random ace, and then you check and he like ships the river. Then what do you? I mean, are you just? I mean, you calling this off? You're calling everything off, right? I mean, 4-liner to a straight. I mean, you give like not a great 2-pair. There's definitely better 2 pairs available. Definitely seems like. I don't know. It seems like you say, you play King 10, you find yourself in King 10 off situations. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, so then when you find yourself in this situation, I think I don't remember what happened in this hand, but I do think a good thing is if you're going to play King 10 to be able to also get away from it in these type of situations, because getting felted here would kind of pretty sad, right?
Yeah, it's a so I do fold, like you say. I mean, at this point, I wasn't with him being the preflop raiser. I already wasn't really in love. I mean, I felt about as shitty about 2 pairs I could already feel about 2 pair. Now the few things that I thought might be beating, now shit, there's a straight out. I mean, the few things I'm beating is like ace queen, king queen,
Oh yeah, I mean,
queen 10.
we can sit here and list. I mean, tons of hands that just got there.
So now I'm really stretching. And I did not get off much opposition on that turn. Most people who were studied said it was a good fold on the turn. Although I actually was ahead, it was a very weird bet by ace 9. So, but I still feel good about that. I still think that I took the best route on the flop. It's kind of hit and miss with what I've heard from people I've talked to. So the vast majority, the problem is when I go into like the forums of the people who I do respect on like Red Chip and stuff like that.
It's funny because like the problem when I go into the forums of everyone I respect, they call me a dipshit, so I ignore them.
Yeah, they don't agree with me, so I go away.
Yeah.
It was hard to get them off the idea of King 10 being a pre-flop call. If you've ever, like everybody, like it's a running joke whenever you go to a poker forum, it's like it's fold pre. Well, when you have the nit game and it's a little different. It does change things slightly. So that was kind of an interesting spot to get in.
Well, good to see you got away from it. I mean,
I got away from it with the best hand.
yeah, so good to see.
Tyler's like, I was rooting from that guy. He's a guy from Florida. I like Florida.
Yeah, so we have a lot of listeners there. Maybe he was one.
Yeah, maybe he was one. He's like, hey, heard how this dipshit plays. This is one, and it wasn't the biggest hand, but to me, it does show the effects of study and how you can learn something that really kind of helps out. There is a raise pre-flop from fairly early position. I think it was like under the gun. I might be under the gun +2. I have ace-king. I 3-bet, so probably 15. I think he went to 20. I think I went to 60.
This is on the stream still?
This is still on the stream.
Okay.
This is all the same session.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's so he ends up calling. I have ace-king. The flop comes like 9, 10, queen, all spades, and I have no spade. He checks.
Definitely c-betting small.
C-bet small of 80. Obviously, there's something happened that I...
Yeah, I was like...
Because the pot was at 2... It was 70. The pot was at 210.
I was like, how much money does Clint have?
Maybe it was a 4-bet. I don't know. It must have been a 4-bet. That was more. But he checks to me. I bet 210. I bet 70, and he folds. And this is one of those that you just learn because like learning like the third pot size bet on the flop when check to. This is kind of a spot before I was doing that where I'm just completely gone on what to do because it seems like he's either going to have a pair or a spade here, and if you're betting a half pot to 2/3 pot, this is just burning money. But it can take some down when he also misses like he does.
What did he have?
He had ace queen.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Wait, it must not have been a queen out there. It was a very wet board, all monotone. I do know that. And they were all pretty high cards.
Gotcha. I was thinking pretty snug fold, but all right.
Yeah. Third pot. Top. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a queen. It must have been like a 8-10 jack or something, all spades.
Like ace queen. He had the ace of spades. Tight fold.
He's really respecting me.
Here's something, kind of jumping topics on you again a little bit, but I've noticed, so my whole theory on these live stream games is I would think people would play tighter just because they don't want to lose on stream, but it seems like people are just bluffing and making all the moves on these streams.
Well, I think no one wants to be considered a nit on the stream and bad for the stream. I will say I feel a little bit of pressure to play looser than I would. Now, I'm not going to play too looser just because it's a lot of money. It's a pretty big game.
It's definitely bigger than the game we normally play. So
yeah, buying in for 1,000 is it's not outside of my bankroll limits, but I tell you what, it's getting there.
It's out of my comfort limits.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely lends itself to like a little bit looser because nobody wants to be considered the nit and all that, bad for the stream, just sitting there, nut peddling.
I remember when I played on Paramount's live stream, I flopped that set versus like aces and like a 3-way all-in pot or something. And then after that, I proceeded to play just out of being card deadness. I think I had like a 3 or 9% VPIP. I mean, I was the very bottom by just the widest of margins. I was like, I'm so bored.
Yeah, it really gets to your head when you're card dead because you are only going to play so loose on a stream. So you're sitting there looking at it and you're just getting folding. So now it's already annoying when you're not on stream. Now you're like, everybody's watching me just fold, and it looks like and everybody's going to look at your VPIP at some point. Be like, that dude, 4%. Like, you remember way back when, like, we used to watch a lot of their videos, the vlog with the vlog with the 3 people, Next Gen.
There you go.
You remember, like, the first time we saw them play, like, a live stream, and one of them was at, like, 2 or 3% at Texas Card House?
Yep.
Definitely not trying to do that.
Yeah, well, but I mean, like you said, I mean, when it's real money, I mean, definitely can't play 2 non-correctly.
Yeah, I'm still just going to play my game.
And here's the crazy part is whenever because I don't know, you put a lot more thought into, like, how many people are watching the stream. I assume no one's watching all the time. But, I mean, I know it's not true, but that's just what I assume. And then, I don't know, I assume no one's watching. And then, but if you're just, every time I had a hand that was half decent, you told me that someone else had a better version of it. Like I had, King, Queen or whatever, King, Jack, and someone else had King, Queen or something. Or I had 7-8 and someone had 8-9.
That was a Prime stream. I remember that, yeah.
Oh, was it Prime? Okay, I was thinking Paramount. But I just remember, like you were saying, I got away from quite a few where I was dominated.
Yeah.
But but if I was thinking about that VPIP, I might be tempted to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it definitely adds another element to the game. I think everybody's playing, for the most part, fairly true to form, but it definitely does add another level. It's So this is going to be the biggest hand I think maybe I've ever lost. I don't know.
Well, spoiler. But
yeah.
All right.
So.
Okay.
It's I have pocket kings. I 3-bet, get called. The flop is, was it 7, 8, 10? Yeah, 7, 8, 10. I think with a flush draw, I check. So my theory here is this flop. It's a fairly aggressive opponent. This flop hits his range way better than mine. He has way more 2 pairs, way more sets. If I bet here and he re-raises, it's gonna get weird by the end. I'm gonna have to hold on with one pair.
I mean, I don't think it gets that weird. I think you just fold. I think the end comes quicker than you think. But
well, I think an aggressive opponent, you have to also know that they could be know that they have all the hands here, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I still do my 1/3 bet here. If I get raised, I mean, I've just printed money. Well, kind of the opposite of print money, but overfolding raised flops. Just because in our game, it seems like if someone raises the flop, just get out of there.
Yeah, but this is a little more aggressive game, I think.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's just what I was that would be my normal strategy, I guess.
Yeah. I check and he checks. So the turn, I don't even remember what my theory was on this turn. I think it was like a 4.
My theory was, oh God, get me to showdown.
Kind of. It was a check. I ended up checking again. I think my theory here was, once I check, if he has got like missed broadways, he's folding anyways. Once I bet. If I check, it looks like missed ace king, ace queen, and he could bet, and I could get value there.
Okay. I was kind of thinking the opposite. I was still thinking down bet just to prevent from him putting you in a spot, but I'm with you here. Okay.
So I check. He bets. I make a call, obviously. Because that's what I'm
Did
going
he bet
for.
pot or?
He bet.
mean,
No,
how's
it was a fairly small bet. It was like a half pot bet.
How'd this pot get so big? What's happening? I mean, if you raise pre-flop and then it goes check, check, and then he bets small on the turn, you're definitely not getting all in on the river here, right?
You would think, right?
I mean, what happened? I mean, okay.
Okay, so once so the turn is like the river's like I think another 4, which takes
So
out.
now you're thinking you're counterfeiting some 2 pairs.
I think I am counterfeiting some 2 pairs. I check, thinking I'm planning on calling any bet. The way I played this, I think you're calling, but he jams for like 2 times pot. I kind of hem and haw for quite a while. The way this is played, I've under-repped my hand so much.
That's why I did not like how this was played, because this puts you in just such a spot, like played like this.
Yeah. My thought is my hand is extremely under-repped.
I mean, he could be doing this with queens or jacks and thinking he's doing it for value.
Yeah, this actually might have been a 4-bet pot too. Actually, he might have raised too. But it's either way. The pot was, I remember at this point, was like 400, and he jammed for like 7. I think he jammed for more. He's always playing super deep. I think I had like 770 behind. I mean, I'm beating pretty much everything here except for a set. Do you call here?
I don't play it that way, so I never get here that way. I mean, so that would be one thing. The problem with playing it the way you played it is I think you kind of have to call because you unrepped your hand so much.
It's my thought, yeah.
I mean, because, like, you really
And
like, again, seems like this is, I mean, how I say people whenever they raise the flop, when they 2x the river, they normally got it too.
Well, okay, I missed a huge point too. This is probably the most aggressive opponent I've ever played against. Because when I ran this by everybody, they're like, I'm like, well, they're like, most people don't have overbet pot in their range as a bluff. I'm like, this dude does. 100%. There are times this is stone cold nothing.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, which makes how this was played even I mean,
yeah,
you just got yourself in just the biggest pickle ever.
Well, which is weird because I played this literally to not get in this pickle.
Oh, I mean, I feel like you played it to get just in this pickle. I mean, I feel like you played it to where I knew this pickle was coming. I mean,
well, when I was checking on the flop and turn, you're thinking that's kind of pot control. You definitely don't expect when you're trying to control pot to get it all in for 800, 2 times pot on the river.
No, but I do expect when I check twice to a super aggressive opponent, they're probably gonna overbet.
Which if that's the theory, then you definitely have to call.
Oh, but I mean, that's why I didn't want to do it. Because I don't like this spot at all. That's why I didn't like that. I almost think you control the pot more by betting 1/3. Because it still looks like you have something. Here it looks like you have ace-king, and he could just be bluffing you with just randomness. I mean, this seems, like you said, this is going to be nuts or nothing. I think, 20% of the time it's nothing. I think, but you said, I mean, I don't know this player, though. I mean, obviously, I would never, as played, I'm sure you shrug call, but I don't know. I mean,
a super under-repped hand at a low SPR against a super aggressive opponent, I think you just, all those add up to this has to be a call, I think.
What did he end up having?
He flopped a straight. He had 6-9.
That's tough.
So in all honesty, no chance whatsoever am I ever not getting stacked on this exact hand.
You don't think if you bet 1/3 and he raises, you can get away from it sometimes?
I don't think so, no. I mean, he's going to have... he's going to have a lot of nothing when he does that sometimes. Especially on these small bets when you do them, like aware players will pounce on that. You definitely can't be betting a third pot just to fold to any raise when you have a overpair. That's beating some overpairs.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough spot. Definitely interesting player type for sure.
Yeah, it's so I don't mind the way this played this. I don't mind it played out. Like at first I did not like the turn check. But now thinking, I was like, well, I do think I had some reasoning behind the check. It definitely could. I was definitely trying to get a bluff out of him with a missed Broadway cards. And as long as my reasoning is sound, it's like you say, if the reasoning is sound, it's well thought out. You really usually don't mind it.
Well, here's the other thing too: is if he has 6-9 here, he definitely has, pocket 3s, 4s, 5. We can just list a whole bunch of random. If you have 6-9 in a 4-bet pot, you say, or if he 4-bet you with 6-9, or he called a 3-bet or whatever, all the combinations of cards seem to probably be available, which would then lend me more towards the call not being as bad.
Yeah, it was. Oh, you know what? It was a 4-bet pot. That's how it inflated. He 3-bet this hand, and I 4-bet him with kings. That's how it got so inflated. Yeah, that was a problem with the check. Is I know he's got all the 2 pairs on this flop. I really didn't think a straight. I did not think 6-9. I thought there would be a cutoff there. But I'll tell you what, I was wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the nature of getting stacked. You're definitely not normally right.
So actually, I don't know if that was the biggest pot I've ever lost, because that ace-king hand at the end of that one live stream was probably pretty close. They were probably about the same. They were probably very close. I just am... if I get on a live stream, you break the goddamn windows to get on that stream with me.
Yeah, I don't know. I've definitely made different decisions based on player type, so obviously, you play differently whenever it's someone to that extreme, but... kind of, super tough spot though. Either way,
it's there's another one. It wasn't really that interesting. I end up raising pre-flop. It's a multi-way pot. It checks all the way around. It was a monotone board for a flush. I was in late position. Checks all the way around. I turn the nut straight. Obviously, there's flushes available. Checks all the way around to me in late position again. I bet, get called. A river that makes a 1-card straight. So now I'm kind of counterfeited a little bit on my straight.
I definitely think you're yeah.
I still think I should go for value here. I do. I get re-raised. I think it's just him pushing me off the same hand now. I call, and he actually flopped a flush.
Yeah, I don't mind this.
Yeah,
this one is one of the ones. See, this is the one where I think it'd be more not exploitative, but it would be more not a leak. I think you could be exploited if you're folding here. Is kind of more my thought, because he could be doing the same thing with whatever spade, whatever it was, right? Because he could definitely get here, see 4 cards to a straight, and sitting there with one single spade and be like, well, what am I going to do? I got to bet. Yeah. So I don't mind this at all. I think this is just, really not even a cooler, just kind of a shrug, kind of, I just don't mind it at all. I don't mind any of it. So.
Well, I think it's just I don't know if it's well played by that player or not, but it's well played for how what my hand is.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those ones where you do have to have some defending range, right? You can't just get blasted off of everything. And this is one that I do like the call. Yeah,
because if I don't randomly hit the straight and he checks to me all the way in late position again, I just check back. So he's flopped a flush and literally getting 1 straight of value on the river. I hit the straight, so it's a brilliant move at that point. So
sure. When my strategy requires me flopping a flush, would you say turning a straight?
Yeah.
I'll just write this plan up all the time. I'll let you know whenever it works out for me next.
It's going to work out next hand.
Guess what? That's my strategy every single time I play poker and I get 2 suited cards. I need to flop a flush. Clint needs a straight. Let's see what happens.
Well, pretty good. So it was a pretty hurtful. It was the biggest loss I've ever had at one time, where I lost $2,000 on a live stream in front of everybody. Oh, this is actually, I haven't gotten to the good part.
Oh, there's a better part.
There's a better part. We end up playing the knit game. So I end up getting in a heads-up pot with the other guy who's got the last knit button, and he ends up taking me out. So I then bust out my 2,000 and have to go to the ATM just to fucking grab $200 more so I can come and dump them on the table and then say, goodbye, y'all. I'm broke. I don't know. I mean, definitely my bankroll's not busted, but I don't know. I'm not going for 3,000. I mean, I already know how tilted I am. So that was, fairly humiliating. That would be humiliating if it wasn't on a live stream.
Oh man, I gotta go back and watch this.
Tyler's like, is he crying? Zoom it in more. Is there a tear?
Yeah, well, I've always wondered, like, in the knit game, if you lose the knit game, do you have to come back and pay?
Well, I sure did.
I mean, it definitely seems like everyone does, but...
I tell you what, I don't think I'm going to be invited back if I don't.
I have no more money.
No more money? You took all the money.
Yeah, Clint just walks in there, tosses his old shoes on the table, and walks out.
Yeah. Do you want my shirt?
So, well, I guess I'll give a little, I guess it would be like a teaser for next episode. I hit quads. That's cool. And then in a different game, I played the highest stakes PLO I've ever played on a whim and just hoping to get unstuck. So I ended up playing 5-5-10 three-handed PLO.
Sounds like great poker strategy. It sounds like good bankroll management.
Yeah, so that'll be, at least exciting for that. I mean, it was, how it always starts, 1-3-6 PLO that then turns shorthanded to 5-5-10 PLO.
Yeah, that's awesome. Make sure to get their bankroll management tips from Tyler next week.
Yeah, because I always remember when I was sitting down, I was thinking, like, it's probably weird because I probably do have the least amount of, like, what would it be, like, strategy / education in this game. And it seems like a massive game. I remember thinking, like, I wonder who, like, that's how you definitely know you're the fish in this game. Because I remember thinking, like, I don't even know if I have a strategy.
At least it was huge stakes to be for our bankrolls to be a fish in. That's great.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're gonna pick when you're gonna run good, I went from the 1-3 table running bad to, I mean, if you can pick when you're gonna run good, that's the time.
Oh, 100%.
All right, this concludes Texas Poker Podcast. Talk next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.